Alright, here we go. 100 completely random geography related facts ranging from volcanoes and tsunamis to strange and interesting country demographics. Now before we start, I just want to clarify that not a single fact in this video was created by AI. Every fact you're about to hear was researched by me. But anyway, enough yapping, let's just jump straight into fact number 1. So there are 195 countries around the world, which combined cover an area of some 148 million kilometers squared. This means that the average country is roughly 759,000 kilometers squared. That's just a tiny bit larger than Chile. However, if we go by the median, which is the country in the middle, that would be North Korea / Malawi, coming in at around 119,000 kilometers squared. Number 2. The average age of a human on Earth right now is roughly 30 years old. However, this varies significantly across the planet. For example, it's 49 in Japan, but just 15 in Niger. Number 3. Although ranking as the 177th largest country on Earth in terms of land size, Micronesia ranks as having the 22nd most coastline on Earth, with some 6,100 kilometers. That's more than the likes of Croatia, Argentina or France, countries that are significantly larger. Number 4. Roughly a quarter of the world's entire population lives in South Asia. This subregion of Earth also includes the world's largest population of Hindus, Muslims and Sikhs. Number 5. So this is Cape Grim, found in Tasmania, Australia. And although its name suggests otherwise, one thing that isn't grim is its air quality. This region is believed to have some of the cleanest air where people actually live on Earth. This is due to its remoteness and strong westerly winds that carry clean air from the vast ocean. Number 6. Which do you think is bigger, Western Australia or the US's two largest states combined? That's Alaska and Texas. Well, at 2.64 million kilometers squared, Western Australia is 227,000 kilometers squared larger than the two states just mentioned, showing just how ridiculously big this state is. Number 7. The Nile, Amazon, Yangtze and Mississippi river systems are respectively the 4 longest river systems on Earth, and because of this are arguably 4 of the most famous. But what is the 5th longest river on Earth? It's a river system most people probably have never heard of, the Yenisei. It's a river system that runs through Mongolia and Russia and is the largest river to empty into the Arctic Ocean. Number 8. In the 15 most populated islands on Earth, none are found in China or the US, the 2nd and 3rd most populated countries. India, which is now the world's most populated country, has just the 1. Number 9. The country with the highest exclusive economic zone to land ratio is Tuvalu. The country has just 26 kilometers squared of land, yet has the exclusive rights to around 750,000 kilometers squared, giving a ratio of nearly 29,000 to 1. This is due to the fact that the country is spread out across many islands and atolls over a vast amount of ocean area. Number 10. Although pretty much impossible to accurately approximate, it's believed that Mount Everest weighs something in the region of 161 trillion kilograms. This estimate comes from its rough 7.5 trillion cubic meters, whilst taking the average density into account. Number 11. At 8.5 million kilometers squared, Brazil is the largest equatorial country on Earth. That's a country that has territory on the equator, meaning it sits in both the northern and southern hemisphere. What's kind of crazy, however, is that only around 5% of its entire land is found in the northern hemisphere, with the other 95% in the southern. Number 12. The shortest international flight on Earth between two countries is a route between Brazzaville and Kinshasa, from the Congo and DR Congo. The flight covers a mere 24 kilometers, and its scheduled duration is 50 minutes, but the actual flight time is actually around 15 minutes. Number 13. So it's pretty well known that Mount Kilimanjaro is Africa's tallest mountain. It's probably within the top 5 or 10 most famous mountains on Earth. But what is Africa's second tallest mountain, and where is it? So that accolade would go to Mount Kenya, which is of course found in Kenya. It stands some 696 meters shorter than Kilimanjaro. Number 14. The scale used to measure the strength of tornadoes is called the Fujita scale. It goes from 0 to 5, with 5 seeing wind speeds of over 200 miles per hour. They are fairly uncommon, with around 70 being recorded throughout modern history. Number 15. In 1820, the center point of the global economy was found within Asia, Kazakhstan specifically. But as the Industrial Revolution boomed in the West, this center point sharply moved across to Northern Europe. However, skip forward to current times and it's pretty much reversed, travelling all the way back to Asia, where it will likely remain for the foreseeable future. Number 16. The country with the most hospital beds per capita will likely take you by surprise. It's not Norway, Switzerland, or any other highly developed nation. It is in fact North Korea. The country apparently has 13.2 beds per 1,000 people. For reference, Germany has around 8 and the US about 3. Number 17. With Greenland being part of Denmark, the entire kingdom covers an area of just over 2.2 million kilometers squared, ranking it as the 12th largest country on Earth in this regard. However, if Greenland one day becomes its own independent nation, Denmark would slip all the way down to the 130th largest country. After all, mainland Denmark is just 1.98% the size of Greenland. Number 18. With the US having by far the largest economy on Earth, as well as the US dollar being used around the world, you might think that its currency is the strongest on Earth. However, this isn't the case, as that belongs to the Kuwaiti dinar, where one will get you around 3.2 US dollars. Number 19. The only sea on Earth that does not touch land is the Sargasso Sea. It's found in the Atlantic Ocean and is defined by ocean currents rather than coastlines, meaning it has no land boundaries whatsoever. Number 20. The longest one-worded country name in the world is Liechtenstein, which is 13 characters long. Turkmenistan then comes in second with 12. Number 21. Almost every country on Earth uses the metric system. This is where length is measured in meters, temperature in Celsius, and volume in liters. However, there are 3 countries on Earth that do not use this system and instead use imperial measurements. Of course, the US is one of those, and the other 2 are Liberia and Myanmar. Myanmar uses it as it was once a British colony where imperial was the default, and Liberia as it's a country formed by freed African American slaves. Number 22. Now this one is truly unbelievable. There are more Hindus living in India, that's about 1,053,000,000, than the entire population of all the Americas combined. That's a region of some 42.5 million kilometers squared, where just over 1 billion people live. Number 23. In 2024, China generated approximately 1,000 terawatt hours of solar power. That's around 41% of global solar energy production. To put that in perspective, this amount of energy is enough to power the entire country of India for the year. Number 24. In terms of GDP per capita, Seychelles is Africa's richest country, and by quite some distance too. Its per capita wealth is around 18,000 US dollars. Second is Mauritius with around 12,000, followed by Botswana with 8,000. Number 25. In the most recent findings, the country who saw the most road traffic related deaths per capita was Zimbabwe, with a rate of 41.2 per 100,000 inhabitants. The lowest was Micronesia with just 0.2, which comes to no surprise considering the country has a very small population spread out across hundreds of islands. Number 26. The fastest wind speed ever recorded on Earth was 253 miles per hour, measured during Cyclone Olivia in 1996. This wind speed was recorded by an automatic weather station during the storm, making it the highest sustained wind speed ever observed on the planet. Number 27. The most commonly used colour on national country flags is red, appearing on around 77% of all flags. Next is white, followed by blue, with 50 and 43% respectively. Number 28. There are 3 countries on Earth that are landlocked by a single other country, being Lesotho by South Africa, San Marino by Italy, and Vatican City also by Italy, Rome specifically. Number 29. Roughly 70 million people in China speak Cantonese, its second most spoken language. If these speakers formed their own country, they'd rank as the 20th most populated country on Earth. That's a higher population than France, the UK, or Thailand. Number 30. The Stockholm archipelago found in Sweden consists of around 30,000 islands. That's more than what can be found in the entirety of Australia, Japan, and China combined. Number 31. Other than Antarctica, which does not have a permanent population, the least populated sub-region on Earth is Micronesia, with around 540,000 people. That's less than the population of Malta. Number 32. So it's fairly common knowledge that Pyongyang is North Korea's most populated city. But what is its second most populated city? Well, that would be Hamhung, a city found on its east coast. Its population is roughly 768,000, about 4 times smaller than Pyongyang. Number 33. In 2024, China recorded the most amount of deaths at some 11.6 million. That's roughly the equivalent of the entire population of Jordan, Papua New Guinea, or Belgium. Number 34. So Brazil is of course the country with the most Portuguese speakers at around 203 million. But then which country ranks second? It's gotta be Portugal, right? Well, with around 10 million, Portugal actually ranks third, as there are roughly 23 million Portuguese speakers in Angola. Number 35. The Volcanic Explosivity Index, or VEI, is a scale used to measure the power of volcanic eruptions. The highest possible rating is 8, which is believed to have occurred 3 times in history. Once in Sumatra, Indonesia, once in the United States, and once in New Zealand. Level 8 is classed as mega colossal and can impact the entire planet's climate. Number 36. So Mount Everest is of course pretty well known, but what about the tallest island mountain on Earth? Well, that goes to Puncak Jaya, located on the island of New Guinea. It stands some 4,884 meters above sea level, meaning it stands around 55% height of Mount Everest. Number 37. It's hard to believe that North Korea doesn't rank rock bottom in the Democracy Index. In fact, there are 2 countries that ranked lower than it in the most recent report, being Myanmar and Afghanistan. Number 38. Believe it or not, this is not Washington DC, it's Gurulmud, the capital of Palau, located nearly 14,000 kilometers away. Its Capitol building bears a striking resemblance to the one in the US, which is a reflection of Palau's close ties with America. After World War II, Palau became a US territory until gaining independence in 1994. Number 39. It comes to absolutely no surprise that China is home to the world's longest bridge. It spans an unbelievable 165 kilometers. That's pretty much the exact same length as London to Birmingham in England. To drive the entire length of the bridge can take around 2 hours. Number 40. At just under 115,000 kilometers squared, Benin is the 100th largest country on Earth. It's a country found in northwest Africa that has one of the most peculiar shapes on the planet. Number 41. In 2024, Bangladesh ranked as having the most polluted air out of any country on Earth. Its average score, where the higher the worse, was 140 for the year. Pakistan ranked second with 115 and then India with 111. Number 42. So at around 37 million, Tokyo is the world's most populated city. But when it comes to the most populated megalopolis, which is a region that consists of a network of urban areas, then the Guangdong, Hong Kong, Macau Greater Bay Area is the most populated at some 70 million. It is one of the most economically important regions on Earth. Number 43. Now, which year in recorded history do you think saw the most deaths? Well, it's a bit of a toss-up between 1918 and 2020. 1918 saw up to 60 million deaths due to World War I and the Spanish flu, and in 2020 we had the COVID pandemic. Again, seeing around 60 million total deaths around the world. Number 44. At the time of making this video, 0.0087% of the entire population of the planet are over 100 years old. That's roughly 720,000 people. That's just a little less than the entire population of the Solomon Islands. Number 45. There is a certain region in South America where the official currency is the euro. This is of course in French Guiana, which is a department of France. Being a department means it follows the same rules and laws as mainland France. Number 46. So the official language of Bosnia and Herzegovina is Bosnian. But what if I was to tell you that it has two more official languages, those being Serbian and Croatian? Number 47. At some 90 million, the US is the country with the most pet dogs on Earth. However, there is one country who ranks above it when it comes to dogs per 100,000 people. That is Hungary of all places. Number 48. At the time of making this video, there are 8.2 billion humans on Earth, spread out across 195 countries. This means that the average country population is 42 million. This is about the same as Afghanistan, who ranks as the 36th most populated. For the median population, which is a country somewhere in the middle, we're looking at around 9.2 million, so something similar to what we see in Austria or Belarus. Number 49. So the UK is made up out of 4 different countries, being England, Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland. England is by far the most populated at around 57 million, but then which country comes next? Well, that would be Scotland with around 5.5 million, followed by Wales with around 3.1 and then Northern Ireland with around 1.9. Number 50. This is Gangkhar Panusum, a mountain in Bhutan that stands 7,500 meters tall. It is believed to be the world's tallest unclimbed mountain, not just because of its difficulty and danger, but also due to its spiritual significance. Out of respect for Bhutanese beliefs, climbing the mountain is prohibited. Number 51. So Macau is a special administrative region of China and is the most densely populated territory on Earth. Some 720,000 people live in just 33 kilometers squared, meaning there are 22,000 people per kilometer squared. For reference, that's about 3 times more densely populated than Hong Kong, which is already unbelievably densely populated. Number 52. Due to their overseas territories, the UK and France occupy 3 hemispheres. However, there is one country on Earth that sits in all 4, Kiribati. It's a country made up out of around 32 islands spread out across the Pacific Ocean. Number 53. Now when you think of Canada in terms of weather and climate, you may instantly think of cold weather and snowstorms. However, it does get hot in Canada, and actually extremely hot. The highest temperature ever recorded in the country was an unbelievable 49.6 degrees Celsius. Number 54. So let's imagine an alternative universe where GDP is replaced with trees. In this new world, Russia is the world's richest country, followed by Canada and then Brazil. The DR Congo, which currently ranks as the 87th richest for GDP, would climb all the way up to 7th place in this alternative reality. Number 55. The largest tsunami ever recorded surprisingly claimed only 2 lives. It occurred in Alaska in 1958, triggered by an earthquake that caused a massive landslide to crash into the water. This displacement generated a mega tsunami, reaching an astonishing 524 meters high. That's taller than Taipei 101, which was the world's tallest building when it was completed in 2004. Number 56. The longest commercial passenger domestic flight ever recorded was an unbelievable 16 hours and 25 minutes long. It went from Papeete in French Polynesia to Paris in France, a distance of some 15,700 kilometers. Number 57. Now, if you're someone who regularly watches geography content on YouTube, you might be aware that Papua New Guinea is the country with the most spoken languages on the planet. But who ranks second and third? So second place goes to Indonesia with 707, third is Nigeria with 525. Number 58. So if the Antarctic Desert, which is technically the largest desert on Earth, were a country, it would rank as the second largest on Earth. It would be just 3 million kilometers squared smaller than Russia. Number 59. So this is Murmansk, Russia. It has a population of around 270,000. This actually makes it the world's most populated Arctic city. That's a city that sits within the Arctic Circle. Number 60. The UV scale measures the strength of ultraviolet radiation. It's what we look at when sunbathing. The higher, the more damage that can be done to your skin. So anything above 11 is classed as extreme. This is what you'd get in the Sahara Desert in the summer at around noon, for example. But what is the highest recorded UV ever on Earth? Well, this one is truly staggering. In 2003, at the peak of a volcano in Bolivia found 5,000 meters above sea level, a UV of 43.3 was recorded. Number 61. The largest landlocked country in Europe is Belarus. It covers an area of 207,600 kilometers squared. It's landlocked by 5 other countries being Latvia, Lithuania, Poland, Russia and Ukraine. Number 62. So this is the Isle of Man. It's an island found within the British Isles, but it's not part of the United Kingdom. They use their own currency called the Manx Pound, which is pegged to the British Pound at a 1-to-1 ratio. This currency can't be used outside of the island, however British Pounds can be used in the Isle of Man. Number 63. The richest people on Earth by GDP per capita for purchasing power parity are the Luxembourgers, with around 155,000 US dollars. In this ranking, the US sits 9th with around 90,000. Purchasing power parity is like comparing how much stuff people can buy in different countries with the same amount of money, so it's a good way to see who has more buying power. Number 64. New York City is actually found further south than Rome, Barcelona and Istanbul. I'm not sure about you, but when I think of New York on a map, I feel like it's much further north than the cities just mentioned, however this isn't the case. Number 65. The Maluku Islands of Indonesia are a somewhat unknown region with a population of about 3.1 million. But outside Indonesia, the largest population of Malucan descent can be found in the Netherlands, where around 100,000 people live. This is of course due to Indonesia's colonial past under the Dutch. And when Indonesia gained independence, the Dutch offered soldiers who had fought for them previously to relocate to the Netherlands. Number 66. So this is the Regent International Building in China. It is believed to be the world's largest building in terms of residents. It has a maximum capacity of 30,000, which is more people than what live in Palau, Nauru, Tuvalu or Vatican City, 4 UN countries. Number 67. The time zone UTC+8 is believed to be the time zone used by the most people on Earth. Around 21% or 1.7 billion people are believed to use it. This is mainly due to the fact that the entirety of China uses this time zone, so that's around 1.4 billion people alone. Number 68. At 22,147 kilometers, China has the longest country border length on Earth. This 22,000 kilometers of border is shared with 14 other countries. Its longest of which is with Mongolia at just under 4,700 kilometers. Number 69. The world's largest waterfall by flow rate is one you've probably never heard of, Inga Falls in the DR Congo. Around 25 million litres of water cascade over the waterfall every single second. That's around 2 billion litres per day. Number 70. There are currently 7 countries on Earth that have achieved net zero for carbon emissions, meaning they absorb more carbon dioxide from the atmosphere than what they emit annually. These countries are Bhutan, Suriname, Guyana, Madagascar, Comoros, Gabon and Panama. Number 71. The Caspian Sea is the largest lake on Earth. It holds around 78,000 cubic kilometers of water. But how does that compare to the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans? Well, respectively, they hold 310 and 710 million cubic kilometers of water, so combined just over a billion. Number 72. The highest capital city on Earth by altitude is La Paz of Bolivia at 3,640 meters. On the other hand, the lowest is Baku of Azerbaijan at -28 meters. That's a difference of 3,668 meters. Number 73. In the most recent official findings, the United Arab Emirates ranked first in the world for the country with the fastest Wi-Fi speeds on Earth, with an average speed of 297 megabits per second. It also ranks first in the world for mobile data speed, seeing an incredible average of 512 megabits per second. This comes to no surprise as the country is pretty small, extremely wealthy, and very focused on tech and innovation. Number 74. Now, although Thailand is arguably the country most associated with Buddhism, it is not the country with the highest percentage of its population being Buddhists. That accolade belongs to its Southeast Asian brother Cambodia, where some 97% of its population follow Buddhism compared to Thailand's 93%. Number 75. There are 17 countries around the world that are classed as mega diverse. This is quite simply countries that house a large amount of endemic species. Some examples are Australia, Indonesia, and Mexico. Number 76. In 2023, the amount of islands that Japan has increased by about 7,000. But how exactly? Well, advancements in technology allowed them to more accurately count the correct amount of islands that it has. It turns out that they were off by about 7,000 up until their most recent study. Number 77. From Africa's westernmost to easternmost point is a distance of around 7,200 kilometers. But how does that compare to Russia, the widest country in the world? Well, as wide as Russia is, it's about 800 kilometers narrower than Africa in this regard. Number 78. The largest flat-topped mountain on Earth, which as the name suggests is a mountain with a flat top, is found in the US, Colorado specifically. Its name is Grand Mesa and has an area size of around 1,300 kilometers squared. Number 79. The US's tallest mountain is Denali in Alaska. It stands at a very impressive 6,190 meters tall. But what is the tallest mountain found in the contiguous US? Well, that would be Mount Whitney in California, standing 4,421 meters tall, so still pretty impressive but nowhere near Denali's level. Number 80. The DR Congo is of course a very hot tropical country, but believe it or not, there is a certain part of the country that is classed as polar tundra. This is at the peak of its tallest mountain, Mount Stanley, which stands at about 5,100 meters tall. This area is actually permanently snow-capped and sees temperatures that can go as low as -15 degrees Celsius. Number 81. Botswana has one of the fastest growing economies on Earth. Roughly half of its entire economy size comes from diamond mining, to which it is the 7th largest exporter in the world. Number 82. The Gini coefficient is an index that ranks the countries of the world by wealth inequality. The higher you score, the worse it is. In this index, South Africa ranks first with a score of 63, Namibia ranks second with 59.1, and then Colombia with 54.8. Number 83. So Antarctica is known for its inhospitable conditions. For the majority of the year, it's incredibly cold and windy. But what is the highest recorded temperature ever recorded there? Well, in January 1982, it saw a very pleasant 19.8 degrees Celsius. That is almost certainly t-shirt and shorts weather. Number 84. There is a term known as the Caspian Sea Littoral States, which is basically a group of 5 countries who all have coastline along the Caspian. They are Russia, Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, Iran, and Azerbaijan. Number 85. More people live in the metro region of Delhi, India than what live in the entire Nordic region. A region which consists of 5 countries and covers an area of around 3.5 million kilometers squared. That is if we include Greenland, of course. Number 86. The Sakha Republic is the largest subdivision of any country on Earth. It covers an area of around 3 million kilometers squared. That's larger than Argentina, the world's 8th largest country. Number 87. Around 80 million people around the world have Irish ancestry. That's just over 11 times the actual population of Ireland today, and that's both for the Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland. Of that 80 million, about 32 million live in the US alone. Number 88. Mongolia is roughly 10 times larger than Bangladesh, but Bangladesh has a population some 49 times greater. And this number will only get bigger as time goes by, as Bangladesh is growing much faster than Mongolia. Number 89. Lake Victoria in Africa is a very important body of water. Not only is it the largest lake on the continent, but it's also the largest tropical lake on Earth and the second largest freshwater lake in the world. Number 90. So most countries have an official language. Some actually have none, some have 2, or maybe even 3. Bolivia, however, has 37. Yes, you heard that right, 37. Spanish is of course the most widely spoken, with around 70% of the population speaking it. Number 91. Antigua's second highest income stream is its citizenship by investment program. This, as the name suggests, is a way to get citizenship by investing in businesses or real estate in the country. Another way to get citizenship in the country is by donating $100,000 into its National Development Fund. Number 92. The Indian state of Uttar Pradesh has a population of around 257 million. That's a higher population than Russia, South Korea and Argentina combined. Number 93. There is a domestic flight that spans 6,700 kilometers without crossing a single other country. Unsurprisingly, this flight is in Russia, travelling from Petropavlovsk in the far east all the way to Moscow in the west. Number 94. At nearly 5.7 million kilometers squared, the Philippine Sea is the largest sea on Earth. That's a larger area than Algeria and Kazakhstan combined. Number 95. In 2024, the fertility rate across the planet was 2.3. That's just above the 2.1 required to hit the replacement level. Niger had the highest at a crazy 6.6 and the lowest was in Hong Kong with 0.8. Number 96. The 2 most forested countries on Earth by percentage of land cover are both found in South America. If we include the French Department of French Guiana, then they take up the top 3 spots, being French Guiana, Suriname and Guyana. Number 97. The Baltic countries comprise of Latvia, Lithuania and Estonia. They combine for a total size of around 175,000 kilometers squared. That's just a little smaller than the US state of Missouri and a little bit larger than Florida. Number 98. The flag of the EU has 12 stars, but why? It's nothing to do with the first countries that joined, as there were 6. Well, the number 12 was chosen as more of a symbol, as the number is associated with perfection and unity. For example, there are 12 months of the year, 12 hours on a clock, and 12 signs of the zodiac. Number 99. If you were to randomly select a bit of land on Earth, there's a 30% chance it'd be in Asia. And if you were to randomly select a human, there's a 60% chance they'd be Asian. And finally, number 100. So there are 1,223 UNESCO World Heritage Sites across 168 countries around the world. What's kind of interesting though is how the geographical zones are split up. It's not in the traditional continental sense, but instead we have Africa, the Arab states, Asia and the Pacific, Europe and North America, and Latin America and the Caribbean. The region with the most is Europe and North America with 573. So there we have it, 100 interesting geography related facts. If you can think of any others, please feel free to drop them in the comments below. Like and subscribe for more geography content, and as always, thank you very much for watching.